Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so since 8.2 beta went live, we actually got to also beta test 3 potential champion buffs that we knew are coming. Yesterday, I did talk about Iron Man Infinity War buff, which to me didn't quite seem enough. They did make him playable to a point where you can actually run him without stealth suits by the synergy, but everything else seemed kind of lackluster, and the damage output actually kind of went down because of how the amount of plasma damage basically decreased because the duration increased, so every tick was ticking for less. But it is going to be fairly straightforward situation with America Chavez. We are going to be taking a look at her damage before buff, after buff, and also in 2 different type of matchups where opponent doesn't have any buffs and then where opponent does have a couple of buffs. So the only changes that she received are the fact that her matching dimensions will last slightly longer, so you're going to get a bit of a less penalty for each matching dimension in terms of that duration. And then most importantly, attack rating bonus per unique parallel dimension or buff on the opponent increases from 750 to 1200. It is a very substantial increase, considering that you can maintain 3 of these things at all times. Basically, you went from getting 2200 attack increase to 3750. So it is quite big, at the very least on paper. And also energy resistance bonus, nobody really cares about that. You know, they did increase it a bit, but yes. Also, dimensional energy infusion stack limit decreased from 9 to 6. I didn't even know she had that one, but okay. Right, so let's take a look at America Chavez. As we all know, America Chavez was never a useless champion in a sense, because initially it was and is quite hard to appreciate America Chavez as an offensive champion. She definitely did find her home as a defensive pain in the butt in certain specific matchups and node combinations. And she has been a potent defender for quite a long time in Alliance Wars and also in Battlegrounds. At the same time, it was a bit of a shame because she was, number 1, very fun to use, and number 2, she does have some very interesting bits of utility where in the matchups where opponent does have a lot of ability power gain, she was actually quite cool. The problem was that aside from that one specific scenario, there was never really a reason to use America Chavez, because as we can see here, for instance, in a matchup with no buffs, she just is not doing too well. She's not doing necessarily awful, but she's definitely not doing great. And in a matchup where opponents do have buffs, Mystics have so many overpowered nukes and torpedoes. You can choose between damage being absolutely absurd or you having an insane control of the fight, or basically everything and anything else. The fact that opponents having a lot of buffs kind of enabled America Chavez to hit slightly harder just did not compete to be worth looking at her with much of an offensive value. And here we can see that, and basically we're going to compare the numbers. You guys have seen the rotation. It's basically where you do your combos, you chain in your heavy attacks, and then you interrupt your heavy attacks with special attacks, gain specific bonuses based on which dimension you activate or based on which heavy attack hit you interrupt, and then ultimately spam your level 1s in order to gain a bunch of power, activate dimensions, and then drop your level 2s. This is a pre-buff damage, so 143 hits, 2 minutes 59, with no synergies in a matchup where opponent doesn't have buffs. Now moving on, in a matchup where opponent does have 2 buffs, that does, contribute. Well, he does have more than 2 buffs, but it's only the unique buffs that we are interested in here. And that definitely does improve her damage quite significantly. And this is also quite an interesting point, because the attack increase from the buff should let America Chavez have similar damage output to this after buff against the Winter Soldier, minus the class advantage. But basically, the fact that opponent had 2 buffs should work about the same as the buff America Chavez proposed buff attack increase does based on the text. So finishing a Realm of Legends fight in 1 minute 20 for a rank 3 6 star is not too bad at all. We're also going to check her out synergized, because she does have a couple of interesting synergies. And with synergies, obviously, she does significantly better. It was 216 instead of basically nearly 3 minutes. 180 hits, and yeah. Right, now we're going to be moving on to the beta forum. This fight's already in the beta. So this is America Chavez unsynergized but buffed. You can definitely notice the increase of the numbers. I'm going to slow down on the drop of the special attack here. And if we do get some crits, 24 crit on that special attack plus all that extra energy damage definitely does give her quite a bit of extra sting. To a point where in an average generic matchup, her damage now, I think, would be considered above average, which does change her as a champion fundamentally, especially for game modes like Battlegrounds mainly, but, also potentially Alliance Wars or somewhere else. We're again going to go for another level 2 here, and we have all the dimensions active. Unfortunately, nothing crit, but there's still quite a bit of damage there. And this is her being completely unsynergized and raw, and I could have gotten luckier. And as I said before, it isn't that bad anymore, in my opinion. And now, in a matchup where opponents do have a couple of buffs, this is where we're definitely going to have to take that fight and take a look at it properly. Because now we're going to see that she is going to be getting, obviously, harder and harder hitting as Black Bolt is going to activate his Fury buff. Now she does have all 3 of her parallel dimensions active already. And pay attention to the damage numbers. They are quite decent. There are 4+K, medium non-crits. And then we have like 16K crit, 18, 20 some K. Quite easily up there. We're going to clap it again here. Not too bad. We're going to drop that level 1 here. Again, whenever she does crit, 17K. Not too bad there on her basic hits, and now a nice big level 2 again. Unfortunately no crits, but definitely quite a bit of damage. So I do think that sometimes the best buffs are the ones that are more straightforward. I believe here she's with a synergized team. I should have started recording these earlier, with a bit of a synergy help against that Winter Soldier, and with that she's gonna take him down in... No, this seems like an unsynergized one, though. We'll see. Or was it the synergized one? Yeah, that was the synergized one. Okay, and now an important test as well. Because this Deadpool has approximately Battlegrounds like health pool. And he does have some regeneration, which America Chavez can't mitigate. So this would more or less be the speed that she finishes a vanilla matchup in Battlegrounds, where opponents have 0 buffs and, 0 synergy with her abilities, really. This is basically fighting a Winter Soldier, not a perfect or great matchup for America Chavez. And let's see how long this fight is going to last, and then we're going to be able to kind of gauge how well she could do some Battlegrounds fights at the bare minimum, where her damage is not being restricted. But obviously keep in mind that if you're going to be using America Chavez against any champion with, a buff or maybe 2 unique buffs, she's going to be hitting significantly harder than she is here at this point. And with that, obviously here it was quite unfortunate that he got plenty of regen. I think I kind of could have played this fight better than I did, so I'm going to try and redo it again against this Deadpool. And this one lasted 1 minute and 7 seconds, which I don't think is bad for a champion that has defensive uses and purpose. America Chavez had already been used at the highest tiers of Battlegrounds for specific metas, because, she managed power gain nodes extremely well and could be a troublesome defender with these power gain nodes as well. Here we're going to see that I'm going to try and be slightly more aggressive. I'm going to obviously need to get to our level 2, which I do pretty much immediately. I want to bait out the special attack from him, which I finally do. Go in, drop my level 2. He's going to go from 61% to 42. Again, your damage output definitely does depend on your crit RNG. When she does crit, she can do quite significant amounts of damage. And here I'm going to go for a level 1, and then I'm just going to try and get into my level 2 as quickly as possible. I'm going to drop my heavy attack. That one regen buff expiring is going to help me. I should have just waited it out, but whatever. And it's not too bad. Again, overkill on this, so she still had some room left there. And again, it was about a minute. So that is more or less what she's going to end up doing. And as strange it kind of sounds, I do think that it's going to be noticeable. I do think that her buff is more or less the right way to go about her. I do think obviously they could have done more. But with the proposed changes, if they make it to the live server, I do think we will start using America Chavez more. This is one of those buffs where, you know, few numbers make a great deal of difference. Again, if you're going to take a look at these damage increase here, one second, that America Chavez is getting. So she's going from 753 attack increase to 1200. I assume that they are talking about a 6-star rank 3 there or something like that. So if we're going to take a look at America Chavez in Aunt May, her base attack, the 6-star rank 3 level, would be 3000. Keeping her 3 dimensions active only would give her more than double of her base attack. So she would effectively be doing the entire fight with 100% attack fury of that. And then obviously special attack, you do deal additional damage on your level 2s. And bake that in with extremely easy power control. And access to heavy attacks and passive stunts, and easy, you know, ability to knock down your opponents, which is often becoming more important. Quite like that. I do quite like that. And everybody can feel free to disagree if they wish, but I think this is a reasonable buff. I think America Chavez was better than many people realized. I do think that she was lacking for how she was designed. Obviously, you can always wish for more, but I'd be quite happy with America Chavez with this buff. I think more people would pay attention to her. We would see her more and more different game modes, because she does have that absolutely amazing power managing ability with her Utopian Parallel. And then, obviously, you know, solid level attacks. She doesn't rely on any debuffs or buffs. Quite nice. Let me know what you guys think about America Chavez buff. I'm going to catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next